Hi, and welcome to another video by Jim the Car Guy. Today we have a 2008. It's a Grand Marquis, which is the same as the Crown Vic, as you know, the Ford version. Today's problem is that when the customer turns on the air conditioning only blows out through the top vents. They can't control it to come out through the face of the dashboard as it's supposed to. It only comes out to the top no matter where you change the controls to. First thing we're going to do, and it's a very common problem, is underneath the hood here there's a vacuum chamber down behind or down underneath the windshield wiper motor assembly. It's a real tight spot to get to, but we need to check. First thing we got to do is check to make sure that there's vacuum going into it, make sure the check valve is okay, and then we're going to check to make sure that there's vacuum coming out and going into the dashboard, and then we'll go from there. Now, it's in a really tight spot back in here. Even to get your hands down in there, it's a little bit rough to get into, but it's down underneath here. Let's get my light set up so we can see it. Let me get something in there so we can point to it. Down inside here is where we need to go. You see these lines right here? It comes around right up into here, and that's our main vacuum coming into the unit. Let's move this out of the way here so you can see. Let me just tie this back out of the way. This is our main feed coming in right there. That's where it brings a vacuum into the vacuum chamber. So you need to pull that off right down there and check to make sure you have vacuum going into the chamber. Then when you see this check valve here, this check valve is a one-way valve. It lets vacuum in, but it will not let it come back out through that portion of the valve right there. So here it'll go into the dashboard, the vacuum, and then there it'll bring vacuum from here back into the dashboard also. So we're going to check this valve to make sure we only have flow one direction, which is what we need to do. It only can flow in one direction. It can flow in, but it can't flow out. So we're going to check that with a vacuum gauge, and then we're going to check to make sure that this unit here actually holds vacuum with the vacuum pump. Like I said, it's going to be tough to film that and do it at the same time, so let me do that, and once we get this done, we'll come back and make sure I'll give you the update of what's going on. As it turns out, everything down with those valves are okay. So we're going to go inside now. We're going to continue inside to make sure that everything works properly inside. Okay, so this is what we're up to. We're going to go inside the vehicle. We're going to remove the climate control unit from the vehicle itself. Once we remove the climate control unit, in the back of the unit, we're going to see this vacuum connector coming into it. What we're going to do is we're going to go to the source line here, which is going to be the black line, and we're going to check to see if we have vacuum coming through that black line in the connector. So, all right, let's take that dashboard apart and we'll continue. So, what you do is just get behind it and you pull it and it comes right out. All right, so we're just going to put that up on the top like that for now, and we're just going to leave our plugs hanging right here. You know what, let me just show you what it's doing anyway. Okay. I know you're not going to be able to feel this, but I'll explain to you what's going on. Now we have our air conditioner set at 60. Now I don't know if you can hear that, but the fan is running at high speed right now. Our fan works properly. It's at high speed, but there's nothing blowing out through here. There's a little bit coming out down the bottom over here, and all of our air is coming out the top right here. No matter what you do, whether you blow it out through the vent, and the vent is supposed to come out through the dashboard, it doesn't come out through there either. So, all right, let's pull this head unit out, and let me shut this off. Let's pull this head unit out and see what's going on in there. These are just a bunch of screws right here. We're going to take these out, so let me just take these screws out of here, and we'll pull this unit out. Let me get it out, and we'll come right back. Okay, so now we have all the screws out. We can pull this unit out here, and we'll just hang it down like this so we can gain access to it. Now, the one that I was telling you about, that black vacuum hose right there, that's the one that comes from out underneath the dashboard, and this brings vacuum into this main climate control unit. So we're going to check now to see if we have vacuum on this black hose right here. Very important. If you don't have vacuum to that, then you got a problem up in the dashboard, and we're going to pray that we don't have that problem. So, all right, we got to take these out. We're just going to take out these two little pieces. They're not really nuts, but they're sort of what holds this thing together. You got to be real careful because they are made of very cheap metal like this. I don't know if you can see that, but that's it. All right, so we're going to take these two out. And you really don't need a ratchet or anything, this because it's just screwing right onto the plastic here. All right, now you will need a vacuum gauge to actually check for vacuum in here. You could use a vacuum gauge. Let's just pull this out first. It comes out just like this. Tough to film and do it with one hand. Sorry about that. Alright, so we'll get that off like that. And now our black one is right there. So we know that that center one right there is our main feed. We should have vacuum coming through there. It should be anywhere, probably engine vacuum, which is anywhere from 15 to 20 inches of vacuum. So we're going to check it there and see. I'm not going to use a vacuum gauge. I'm just going to use my vacuum pump. So let me do that. My vacuum pump right here. And this is the end right here I'm going to put into that hose. So let's start it up and we'll see what happens. Like I said, it's very important that you have vacuum coming through here. Without vacuum in there, you're done. And as you can see, we do have vacuum through that one. So we know that the vacuum is actually in there, and I don't have my glasses on, but it looks like 20 inches of vacuum already. So we know it has adequate vacuum coming into it. Let me just lower this down a little bit so it's not as noisy. So as you can see, we do have adequate vacuum coming through there. Now, after looking online on my computer, actually, I see that that this blue vacuum line right here is the vacuum line that controls the registers up here for air to come out of there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave my vacuum line plugged in right there. I'm going to turn my speeds back up again. And now I'm going to take the other end of the vacuum hose, because now this hose has vacuum flowing through that black line. We're going to connect it right into here, and we're going to see if these registers up in the top here work. So we'll plug that in like that, and I can feel it already. It's blowing out right through here. So what that's pretty much telling me is, unfortunately, that head unit right there is no good. All right, let me just finish a couple more checks on this just to make sure that that when I bring vacuum into these other hoses, it comes out down the bottom where it's supposed to be. But I'm confident that this head unit here is no good. So, all right, let me make a phone call and let's see what it says, and we'll talk to the customer. So now to get this plug out in here, you just push these little tabs in here, and you can rock them out. So let me just try doing that. That's one. And two. All right, there's our old unit. Here's our new unit. Push it in and just snap it. Same thing here. All right. We're going to reattach our hoses on. These are all a vacuum. Of course, make sure you put it on the right way. Now you may want to just forget about these, but don't do it. Make sure you put them back on, because it holds the vacuum connector in place and it doesn't come out. You're going to screw it down. Just screw it down snug. You don't need to tighten it down with a ratchet or anything like that. Just screw it down like that. That's it. Let's just stick it in here temporarily. Let's turn the key on and start it up. Alright, let's turn it on. Bring our temperature down. Oh, I can feel it's working already. It's blowing out the face of the dashboard. Alright, let's make sure we have the AC, normal air conditioning. Let's go with maximum air conditioning today, huh? Here we go. Now, I know you can't feel it, but I can. It's blowing out nice and cool right there. Nothing up on top. A little bit down on the bottom, which is normal. And we're going to change it to the floor. It stops blowing out of the vent, and it blows out down the bottom. Yep. Let's just go on defroster. That's it, blowing out just on the top. Everything seems to be working properly, so we're going to shut that off. And then now you don't have to come along, but I'm going to bring you along as I'm going to put these screws back in. And we're going to wrap this up and get it out the door. Okay. So now when you screw this back together, I mean, you know you're not going to over tighten it and break anything. You want to catch all of them in there first before you do anything. Screw them all in. That's it. We're done. Customer's going to be happy as air conditioner. Okay, so that's it. We're all done. Everything worked out perfectly. That's the head unit that we had to change. All right, as always, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.